an interpretive dance. Everybody good on this? It is June 2017. What? How is that possible? Is it just me, or does it seem like time is going so fast? It's like I'm not in my life. It's like I'm out of my life watching it zoom by. We just what do you call it? Reserve the pavilion for first Sunday in like. Okay, 3 years. Are you kidding me? What? Can you believe, Marcia, that was 2 years ago that you came and sang for our first anniversary? What? It seems hard to believe, doesn't it? Just this morning, I got 2 messages from people saying, I really want to come visit your church that you just started. I'm like, okay. I mean, we've been here longer than I was in that building in Covington. Isn't that crazy? Because we're in the now, baby. We're transcending time. We're next level. We're beyond time. No more aging. Everybody stop right now. Are we on the World Wide Web yet? All right. It is summertime in the city, and we are here in on this beautiful day. I've got such a good word for you, and of course, we're so always glad to have the one and only Marshall Ruffin with us. He's just with us today and next week, but it's going to be great. So we're in agreement. Vibrations are high, and please remain standing, and we'll get officially started.
Good morning, and welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and networking. Today is your day to find your Metron, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias, willkommen, konnichiwa. Is that Japanese for good morning? Konnichiwa. Welcome. So glad to see you. Beautiful, enlightened, wonderful, lovely, attractive, next level people. Thank you for being here in historic Midtown, the hip little theater that is our home. And it's going to be a great day and a great month. And just glad we're all here for it. I'm always happy to have Marshall Ruffin. I don't think that's any secret that he's one of my favorites. And his, did you get assigned to this side? Well, thank you for those of you that have to fight the traffic to get here. I appreciate it, your efforts. Always glad for the connection that we have with him, and he always has something good for us. And so he'll be with us today, and next week on the following Sunday, I'm going to have some combination of my boys here to sing, and then the Sunday after that, we're going to the Bridge. It's called the Bridge of Love, is what they call it out in Eatonton. And I'll tell you more about that. They're cooking for us. They're going to do lunch for us out there. And Ken's going to invite his Eatonton family to come out, which, by the way, Ken just became a grandfather again this week. Little Emily Claire, that's her. So we both have 2 granddaughters now. Our quiver is full. So, and she's here and healthy and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. I want to give Marshall plenty of time to do what really only he can do. I can't think of anybody to compare him to. He really is a unique talent and a unique gift. Would you please welcome our friend and brother, Marshall Ruffin. Marshall!
Please sit down. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back.
Yay.
I haven't done this maybe really ever. It's a little weird for the Metron thing, but something told me it would be a good idea. So I'm gonna do. I put some music behind a William Blake poem.
Oh, cool.
He's a poet and a painter I really like. So you might remember it. You might have had to memorize it when you were in middle school, like I did.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burn the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare ye aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? What the shoulder and what arm could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the anvil, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? And what the hammer, what dread grasp did its deadly terrors clasp? And when the stars threw down their spears, watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make me? Said, tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?
Wow. Love it. Beautiful. Said, I'll meet you in the morning by the bright riverside when the cold hours wait. Said, I'll meet you in the morning in the bright riverside when all sorrow has drifted away. I'll be standing at the portal where the gates are open wide at the close of life's long weary day. I'll meet you in the morning with a how do you do, and we'll sit down by the river and our raptured acquaintance renew. You'll know me in the morning
the smiles that I wear. Said I'll meet you in the morning in that city that's built for square. Said I'll meet you in the morning at the end of the day and exchange this old cross for a crown. There'll be no more disappointment, and no one shall die in the land where the sun's going down. Said I'll meet you in the morning with a how do you do, how do you do, and we'll sit down by the river and our raptured acquaintance renew. You'll know me in the morning by the smiles that I wear. Said I'll meet you in that morning in that city that's built for square.
You're not going anywhere. Don't even.
I couldn't remember how that. Yeah, we figured it out.
I will enter his gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter with praise, and I will say, this is that day that the Lord has made. Oh, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. He has made me glad. Oh, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. I will say with praise. I will say this is that day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, for He has made me glad. He has made me glad. Oh, He has made me glad. Oh, I will rejoice, for He has made me glad. Oh, He has made me glad. Oh, He has made me glad. I will rejoice, for He has made me glad.
Yeah, I love it. Marshall Ruffin. Awesome. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Why it's we all crying and he's singing He has made me glad. That wrecked you, didn't it? I thought I was the only one. Ah, good stuff. You may be seated. Jeremy Lopez just texted me. He said, I like Marshall. I said, we're streaming right now over in Alabama. So I was glad to have them here last week. How did you find I'll Meet You in the Morning? That's old school. That was my grandparents kind of singing. That I'll meet you in the morning with a how do you do. And if you don't know what that lyric means, where he says, you'll know me in the morning by the smile that I wear. I'll meet you in the morning in that city that's built four square. When John saw the vision of the Revelation, he said that the holy city was 144,000 square feet. Of course, I believe that's symbolic. But that's just, when he started singing those first lyrics, I thought, man, where did you even find that? That's not even in hymn books.
I did a show with a guy who founded the Bitter Southerner. He's a fellow named Chuck Reese, and it was a song his folks used to sing.
Wow, that's good stuff. I'm hoping, I don't know if Mom's streaming today, but I hope they heard that because my dad always loved that song. Wow, wow, wow. Good stuff. I'm glad to see everybody. I ain't even, those of you who hadn't seen them, I ain't even mad at you. I'm just glad you came back. Kill the fatted calf. I'm glad to see Ira's Ira's had some issues with his dad, so. I just want you to know, when you're not here, Tom's here. So if you're wondering where he is on Sunday mornings, I can vouch for him. But thank you so much for being here. Okay, it's June. You already know our Artist of the Month. Our Outreach of the Month, we visited the Carter Center a couple of years ago, but we've never contributed. And they actually do a lot. They very actively involved in feeding programs and disease control. This is gross to talk about, but the guinea worms that's in a lot of these, they cause fatalities or whatever. And they actually, Julie and Rosalind Carter, who are bionic people apparently. I mean, his grandson, Jason, his kids go to school with my granddaughters. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was standing in front of the school waiting for them to come out, and I spoke to him. I said, I've never met you before, but I said, just so you know, I voted for you for governor, and I hope you'll run again. But I said, what is it with your grandparents? I said, your grandfather is 90-something. He survived brain cancer. I was watching the inauguration, and they're like announcing Jimmy and Rosalind Carter. I'm like, what the what? But they actually go in and teach these people about how to take care of themselves. And so anyway, we're there's a picture of it. Thanks, Michelle. So that's what we're giving to this month, and we might. If some of you weren't able to go on that trip, we might go again because it's just around the corner here, and it really is a very, very cool place. I'll tell you more about going out to Eatonton because we've got enough time to. Robert had even talked about possibly doing an afternoon service, but that doesn't make sense for those of you that live out in Covington to drive all the way in here and then turn around and go back out that way. So we're going to do like an actual service at 11 o'clock. They're going to feed us, and they've got their little compound there, and it's going to be cool. And so that'll be a fun day. Our Year of Living Your Best Life challenge for this month. This one actually you should be able to photograph this one. It's Be Serene. Like a lot of the stuff you've been posting about your Zen garden and just even pictures of, where you go. You don't even have to be in the picture. Just, whatever brings you serenity. Like when you're on the water or whatever. So share that with us because serenity is really, it's really important. And Leona was telling me about enjoying the post that I did yesterday about I needed some serenity yesterday, and you have one of those days. It's nothing. I know there's bigger problems in the world, and I'm not trying to be self-absorbed. It's just when the day just keeps going badly, and you have one of those days where you're like, I just can't get a flipping break. It's like everywhere, like there's no place to park. There's a traffic jam. The chip on my card doesn't work. It's just like, what the heck is going on with this day? And then the more we're having some challenges. This seems like an easy thing, but getting the pricing on my artwork has been a real challenge. And Avery's been helping me with it, and I just haven't been able to find the thing that works best. And it just seems like, I know that's not a big deal, but I've been trying for 3 months to get it. And I finally called Christine. I said, how do you do your pricing? And she's telling me all this stuff. She said, believe me, I have cried many a day over stuff that people have no idea. Those are the challenges, those little things that just drive you crazy. She said, like today, somebody came in and asked for a refund, and I don't know how to do it. I've never done a refund. I'm having to do on-the-job training. And I said, well, at least I'm not just being crazy. But it was just one of those days where it's just not going well. And I think Ken doesn't know what to say when I get in that place. He just gets quiet, and I'm thinking, say something. I need somebody. I need a pastor. I need me. I wish I could clone me to talk to me. Y'all are so blessed to have me. Where is me when I need me? I'm always there for everybody else, but when do I get a word? And so I said, just let me get it together. Because he said, well, let's go get some vegetables. So we pull into. There's no way to park at Mary Mac's. It's like Mary Mac's has become like an icon now. You can't get near the place. My whole life it wasn't like that. Now it's like people are lined around the block. You can't, because all these tour groups go there and like, I'm not going there. So I said, I need to get it together. So I pulled the car over and I was walking around like, okay, I know better than this. Like, don't let this happen. So I'm talking to myself. I'm creating my day, and I'm like, I won't tell you what I actually said. Bump this noise. You can't create your day. I'm calling Joe, what's his name, Dispenza. I got to create this, pal. You can't, I was just in that state of mind. I know I shouldn't be telling you that, but I was just like, anyway. So I said, let's go back to the studio and try to fix the mess that I left there. Because when I left, there were like paintings falling off the wall and stuff. I was like, I hate this place. It was bad. And so I said, well, just let me get my iced coffee. That will help. I said, just pull right here. I said, do you want one? No. All right, well, then pull in for, let me go. It looks like a line for the Scream Machine at Six Flags. And I'm like, are you kidding me? God, I don't want to wait in this line. And bless her heart, Shamia, who works she saw me way above. She said, I said, what? She says, go bring me 2 Splendas. And I said, and I'm like walking past this long line with my Splendas. She fixes my coffee. She says, get out of here. It's like, really? She says, just go. I said, you know how when you're just having like this really horrible day And just this one little ray of sunshine breaks through the clouds. I'm going to take her flowers tomorrow because I didn't have time to tell her yesterday, but I wanted to say to her, you have no idea. And it totally changed the energy on my day. I was like, it got everything back in perspective. Like, all right, this is fine. We went back in. We found a way to do that. We got the tags. They look great. Ken helped me. It's like, all right, it's great. The rest of the day was like that. So the lesson there, I think, there's several. It's multi-layered, but also if you have the impulse to do an act of kindness for somebody, just do it because you never know. It's the smallest thing. I mean, Jesus said, whoever brings a cup of water to a prophet gets a prophet's reward. So there's this idea that even the smallest thing, it can make a difference. I mean, you never know when they're over the edge. They're thinking about suicide, and it'll be just that one. I mean, I wouldn't like that, but like sometimes it'll just be that one little thing. I'm sorry, now you got to turn it back on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to eat it. Is there a setting that's not quite, that doesn't dry my eyeballs out, but keeps a little air going? Is there something in between? All right, that's fine. We'll have to get signals. So anyway, that was good. And serenity is important. And let me tell you why it's important to sometimes even reboot your day like that. When it's just minor problems like traffic and parking, or whatever, that's one thing. But if you get into a certain frame of mind, you make yourself vulnerable to worse things happening. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's how a day starts spiraling downward. It starts something benign. And that's why you have to stay on top of it and say, well, okay, I know better than to let stuff like this get to me, so I need to fix this. And it is fixable. So love always wins. So that was good. So be serene, all right? You all ready for the word? Good. We speak in this atmosphere, let there be light. I want to talk about something this month that I've never specifically taught on this before. I've certainly in my teaching referred to this. I mean, this thread is all through my teaching, but I want to particularly focus on something. I'm titling it Living in Spiritual Wholeness, Diffusing Religious Triggers and Healing the Wounds of Traditional Teaching. I want to specifically look at this word trigger. Because in years of counseling and just in conversations with people, I'm aware that there are things that are said in church, in spiritual communities, that not everybody hears the same way. I was thinking about it a few weeks ago before Mother's Day. Dr. Valerie Bridgman had posted something. She said, I just want to say to wherever I'm going to church Sunday, before any of you start talking about mothers, she says, I want you to know on Mother's Day, a lot of the stuff you say from the pulpit are triggers for some of us who had issues with mothers. And I'm begging you, not just for my sake, but for everybody else, don't do that to your congregations. And she was speaking specifically, because in the black church, mothers are nearly, I don't want to stereotype, but nearly more idolized even than in a white church. You know, like typically in a black Baptist church, there'll be a mother board, there's a mother section. The mothers are very, very revered. And sometimes you've either lost a mother or maybe you didn't have a great relationship with your mother. A Mother's Day can be very difficult. And when she posted that, I had just posted something about the words always and never, because I started to say, Mother's Day is always the worst day for me to preach. But I thought, well, no, I can't say that because I just said don't say always. But traditionally, it's been a very difficult day to preach because people are feeling all kinds of things. They're missing their mothers that have passed away. They have regret. They have issues with their kids. It's like there's so much emotional current going on. Not so much because y'all are so mature. I don't have any of that nonsense now. But back when I used to pastor this mega church. I don't know if you ever heard of it. But I can remember I just the dread days like that because everybody brought in their emotional baggage and you could feel it. Father's Day, not so much. People are like, nobody cares about dads. But mothers, that's like a huge issue. And I'm not even yelling at people for it. I mean, I understand why it is. Sometimes when you talk too much about God being our Father, Father God, Father this, Father that, some people never knew who their dad was. They didn't have a good relationship with Father. Father is a trigger for them. It's not, like you go to some church and they say, well, I just call God Papa. Well, Papa may have abused you. You know what I mean? They're like, not everybody grew up with Ward and June Cleaver or I used to always say Cliff and Claire Huxtable. But, Cliff Huxtable is... Bill Cosby has some issues. Cliff Huxtable is awesome. See, but you know what I mean? That idea of the two-parent household where everybody's, functional and all that kind of stuff, that was not everybody's experience. So sometimes you're sitting there in church and you're hearing something that everybody else thinks, well, this is just the Bible. Why would you have a problem with it? Well, because you're hitting certain triggers. I guess I would say my position is pro-life, but I'm also aware that there are people in the congregation that, had to make some very difficult decisions in their life and don't want to have to go to church and hear about murdered babies over and over again. I mean, there's some churches that put little white crosses out in front of them. And I think if you're saying God's mercy is for everybody, you're really making it difficult for people who may have already had to work through issues, who don't think of themselves as a murderer. They're thinking of, I did a humane act for someone, and don't get weird on me because I brought that up. I'm just saying, not everybody's hearing everything the same way. I know in my own life, when I was married to Jared and Christina's mom, I had issues that she didn't know about, and we had issues, but I never considered we get a divorce. I mean, divorce it wasn't even on my radar screen. Plus, I believe that the rapture was taking place at any moment. So I was always thinking, well, this isn't going to last much longer. We're going to heaven, and never occurred to me I would be divorced ever. In my world, divorce was a failure. And I even took a lot of pride in having a family, and even though it looked better on the outside than it did on the inside, I still liked the idea of being a dad. I even liked the idea of having a wife and fitting that whole image of what everybody wanted me to be. I liked that. And I remember once she had filed for divorce and it was inevitable, and in Georgia it's no fault divorce. I mean, if somebody files for divorce, there's no granting a divorce. That's just it. And I remember I became so aware of every time I drive around and I'd look at churches on their marquees, it would say something like a family reaching other family. Everything was big emphasis on the family. We're a church, we're a family church, we're a family. And at that time, family was a bad word for me. Family, I remember thinking, gosh, I bet single people or divorcees or whatever, they probably subliminally feel unwelcome in this church, because what you're implying is we want the nuclear family here. We don't just want people, we want families. And the bottom line of that is, you're more financially solvent when it's a church built on family structure. I mean, I'm just telling you, that's the truth. But I remember when family I'd never thought of family being a hard word for me, but I at that time I was already having enough self-loathing and guilt. I thought, this word is becoming very hard for me to hear. I don't want to hear the word family. This is not a slam on Catholicism, but I've counseled with lots of people, not so much from priests, but people who went to Catholic school and were traumatized by nuns who told them things. I mean, I can't tell you the people I've had to counsel with over the years. Like, I remember I counseled with a woman who said, I know this is irrational. She had wrecks all the time and was accident prone and was always breaking a leg or whatever. She said, I know this does, she says, intellectually, I don't believe this, but I remember fidgeting in my seat with a nun that I was very afraid of, who told me, well, you've broken your angel's wings. I told you to be still, and you didn't. She says, I know that doesn't make sense, but when my inner child heard an authority figure tell me, because basically the nun said, the angels aren't going to protect you anymore. And she said, every time I have another one of these wrecks, I know it doesn't make sense, but somewhere I connect the dots that this is my fault. I don't have angelic protection because I was fidgeting in my seat. Now, you can say that sounds silly, but there are things that we're all acting out of that sometimes we don't even know that we're acting out of that were told to us in traditional teaching. Lord knows anybody that's for gay people that love the Lord and have had to work through things like Romans 1, there's some buzzwords in there that can push you over the edge. Like if you read it out of context, it looks like Paul is saying that if you don't worship, if you're not thankful, you turn gay. That's what it sounds like he's saying, which it's not. First of all, let me just say, I love Paul's revelation of Christ, but you don't really want to take relationship or sexual counseling from Paul. Paul, who said nobody should ever get married, and the only reason you should get married is so that you don't burn in lust. That was his only. He said it's better to marry than burn, and he said it with disdain. He said, "Dear God, if you just can't control your filthy lust, then get married. But I wish you were like me." And he called sex rendering due benevolence. So we're going to have to put Paul in some context when we talk about relationships and marriage and human sexuality. Can I get a what up in here? But there's a phrase there in the King James that says that God gave them up to a reprobate mind. Now that might, if you didn't spend years trying to cast a demon out of yourself because you thought Paul Newman was cute, let me tell you, that phrase reprobate mind it's a trigger. And that's why I have a video about it, because every once in a while I'll get some kid who will write me and say, I don't even know what this word means, but my pastor told me I have a reprobate mind. And I'm like, I'm glad you asked that. Please feel free to send this video that I'm reading out of my granddaddy's Dake King James Version Bible on. Let me tell you what that really says. Read the rest of the chapter, because Paul ends up saying everybody's got a reprobate mind. And he goes on talking about gay people in chapter 2. He says, those of you that judge them are doing the same thing. So tell your pastor, I won't tell you what I tell this pastor. But I'm just saying that if you never heard that word, that's not a buzzword for you, but for people who've had a similar journey to mine, who have wrestled with those words. Words are very powerful. That's why speechwriters for politicians, not for our current president, because he's in his own. Well, no, he is. He's in his own track, and he tweets directly, whatever, and it is what it is. But typically, politicians, they when a speech is written, they obsess over every little word, because a word can mean something, and it means something in a foreign, and it does. I mean, it's, we're Jesus said, by your words you're condemned, by your words you're justified. So this is where I want to begin with this. Next week, this will take me a couple of weeks to go through, because I'm going to use the Lord's Prayer as a template for this. I'll show you where I'm going with it. But then 2 weeks from today, I want to talk about, I've ministered on this before, but I really want to talk about this again,